Welcome to the Village. I'm Matt, and I'm here with my friends Brian, Justin, and Melanie, and it's Father's Day. So our first song, Sons and Daughters, talks about how we all have a father in God, and we are all his sons and daughters. Sing with us. Before you spoke creation, the God of heaven knew our names. Formed in his reflection, we are his glory on display. And his heart is good, he is always kind. With the cross he proved he is on our side. We are the sons, we are the daughters of God. No matter where we go, we're close to the Father's heart. And though we stumble, he will not let us fall. We are the Lord's, and he will never forsake his own. We are the sons, we are the daughters of God. His love he lavished on us and called us children of the King. And in his love and kindness, he chose the lowly and the meek. And his heart is good, he is always kind. With the cross he proved he is on our side. We are the sons, we are the daughters of God. No matter where we go, we're close to the Father's heart. And though we stumble, he will not let us fall. We are the Lord's, and he will never forsake his own. We are the sons, we are the daughters of God. Oh, when the lies speak louder than the truth, remind me I belong to you. When I can't see past the dark of night,
That was fabulous. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Melanie. One of the joys for me has been hearing this fabulous music over the last weeks. As we've not had people in the building, we still have had some of the most wonderful singing, and I appreciate it so much. Hey, a couple of announcements. Actually, just one announcement. I'll tell you that we had Safe House this past week, and it was awesome. We had about 10 people come to the church, everybody wearing their mask, and they helped Jane prepare the meal and package the meal, and they took it to Safe House Thursday. That was wonderful. But there's another opportunity, and if you're interested, I hope you'll help. We do something called Smart Lunch. This is we do it a few times a year, but we do it for kids who live in poor areas where maybe they don't have lunches provided at home. And during the school year, of course, they're able to get lunches, but we take some days and we try to take lunches into these communities, and we're going to be doing it July 6th, Monday, July 6th. But Jane is going to put the packages together next Thursday night. That's June 25th at 6:15. So if you can help her, next Thursday night at the church, bring your mask, 6:15, she'd love it. Now here's what she still needs. She needs 150 cans of soup or ravioli. These are the individual cans, right? Ravioli or individual mac and cheese or ramen noodle or anything that's kind of like that kids would enjoy, not liver, nothing like that. Make sure it's something they like. And then 50 fruit cups. We've already had a huge donation of fruit cups, so we just need 50 more. We need 50 granola bars or something like granola bars, and we need 50 salty snacks that are individually already bagged from the supermarket, things like a Goldfish or chips or popcorn. So if you can help us, then you touch base with Jane. You can do that, janewaters@mac.com, janewaters@mac.com, or call her 404-391-6417. Very, very important. Thank you for doing that. And the village is still touching people through the weeks, and I'm very happy about that. Now, want to share with you how we do our offerings. And again, I'm so grateful. And so many people have given, and that helps us while we're not having services, especially. Your kindness, generosity has meant the world to us. We say every week, and I'll say it again, if you know somewhere the money needs to go, maybe you have somebody who's struggling right now and you can help them, listen, we're not in competition. Do it. Whatever you need to do, do it. But for those who say, hey, I've got my check, I've got money, we're doing okay, and you can help the Village Church, then we'd love to have your help, and it means the world to us. So here's how you do it. There's 3 ways you can give: by texting the word GIVE to 404-998-8979. That's an easy way to do it. You can go to thevillageatlanta.com/give. That's a real easy way to do it. Or you can just write a check and you can send it to 3418 Dogwood Drive in Hapeville, Georgia, 30354. And that's another great way to do it. And if you're real generous, you can do all 3 of those ways this week. That'd be, I'm just teasing, but that would be a cool thing. Hey, we're still in the middle of incredible times in our country. I believe we have passed a tipping point. I believe as it relates to race, we are learning things. We are opening our hearts to things that maybe have never been open like they are right now. And I just want you to know, Village Church and Everybody Church, you guys, you're making a difference. You're making a difference as you support what's taking place in the streets and on the streets, and to keep up the good work. And make sure everybody registers to vote, because if you don't vote, you're not going to be helping, and we need to help, okay? Make sure you register to vote this week. Plan to do it, all right? All right, I want to say a prayer. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for every person watching. Thank you for the way you have provided for us through generous people. And thank you for our church and the message of our church and the inclusion in our church. And I just pray you'll open our hearts and we will learn from you. Thank you for this day, this service, and all the people watching. In Christ's name, amen.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired. Take my hand, Lord, and lead me home.
Thank you very, very much. For those who are watching, thank you for joining us on this Father's Day service. I want to go on record and say right off the bat, Father's Day and Mother's Day, those are difficult days to know kind of what to do at church, because for many, they need to hear something inspirational about parenting. They need to hear something that can be helpful in that regard. But some people have been hurt by dads or father figures, or they've had absentee fathers. And so I just want to say, we get it. And if this is not the kind of service you need to watch today, then please take a break. There's other talks you can find out there that'll be really helpful. But for those who are open, today I wanted to do kind of what we did for Mother's Day, and that's introduce you to 10 unique, different, diverse dads who are a part of the Village Church. And we're going to ask them some questions, and I'm curious kind of what fatherhood has meant to them. Some of the dads, I want to ask them about the whole race issue. How did they have to teach their kids anything about that? And I think it's going to be very helpful for those of us that are able to watch. And our first dad that I want to talk to is someone who couldn't actually be here today, but he has been a friend for the last several years, and he comes to the Village Church. He is a great, great friend of mine, and his name is Herb Farabee. And Herb happens to be at Myrtle Beach, and he pulled himself out of the water to do this interview. Herb, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
How you doing, Pastor Ray?
I'm doing good. I wish we could swap places. I think I'd rather be on the beach right now. Thank you for sticking your head in. We've been talking to dads on Father's Day, and I just could not imagine at all doing this kind of a service without having you kind of share with us a little bit about your experience with being a dad. So let me see if I've got this right. You have a 25-year-old son.
Yes, sir.
And you have a 13-year-old stepson, and you have twins that are Blake and Brooke. How old are they?
The twins are 5 years old.
5 years old. My goodness. That is amazing. Tell me, coming from having the older son and even Zachary, I can't imagine having two kids at the same age running around as toddlers. How hard was that?
Oh, Pastor Ray, it's real tough. Just imagine, having one child for those that have kids. And when they're 1, 2, 3 months, that child barely sleeps.
Right.
Just imagine having two and they didn't sleep at the same time.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how you guys did it. And you weren't like in your 20s. Sometimes we just expect somebody's 22 years old. They'll just figure it out. They'll just get through it. You'd already raised a son. So I'm glad you made it through, man. I'm glad you got through the hard part.
Thank you.
Hey, tell me what you would think is the greatest challenge that you felt as far as being a dad. Does anything stand out to you as kind of a greater challenge?
The greatest challenge is always trying to set the right example, because you don't just want to talk the walk, you want to walk the walk also.
Yeah, it's a good way
and
to
so
say.
when whatever you explain to your kids the way you should be a young man, a young lady, you want them to see you setting the example.
That's beautiful. You're so right. It's not what we say. It's easy to say it. It's a lot more difficult to live it and be that example. What would you say? You've had a lot of experience now. You've been doing this for a little while. What would you say has kind of been your greatest joy as a parent?
Oh, my greatest joy as a parent, Pastor, is just seeing them grow and the young men and women that I know they're going to become. And, with me growing up with a single mom and my dad not really being there as much as I wanted him to, when I had kids, I wanted to make sure that I'm there for them whenever they need me.
Well, that makes so much sense, and I admire you. You are one of the great dads at the Village Church, and Herb, I treasure your friendship, and now I want you to go out and go surf or whatever you're doing, and I want you to have a beautiful day. Happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
Happy Father's Day to you, Pastor. I love you, man.
Love you too very much. Bye-bye.
All right.
Well, another father that I am honored to get to introduce in today's service is Derek Hart. Derek, I guess, will be the youngest father that we'll talk to today.
Could be.
He is the father of Hudson. And Derek, thank you for giving us a few minutes of your
Yes.
time on Father's Day.
Not a problem. I always love being here. This is like second, third, fourth home to me.
For those of you who do not know, much of what happens in technology and media at the Village is anchored by Derek. And he is the one who, when we were having live services, he was the one that was handling so much of the live stuff we were doing. As we've moved into recording the services or doing them without people in the room, Derek has continued. And I just want to say it's an honor to work with you.
And thank you for giving me the opportunity. I love it.
So tell me, how old is Hudson now?
He's 2.5. He's going to be 3 in July.
So how has the first 2.5 years been as a dad?
It's too fast.
So it is moving fast for you.
So fast. And there's times where I just wish it, like anyone would slow down. It's zooming.
You know, I on the other side, my son's, of course, grown. I know what you mean. I don't know if I was as perceptive as you. I think I maybe wasn't paying attention really when my kids were really young, but you're seeing it passing and you're trying to save every minute and trying to
Savor every second. We stay up a minute later for bedtime. We hang out just that couple minutes before I go to, come here, or I go to bed myself. I just savor every second I got.
That's amazing. Tell me what you like. What is something that you enjoy the most as a dad doing with Hudson?
Just participating in whatever he's doing. Playing with Play-Doh, playing with cars, just running around, spinning in circles, blowing bubbles. It's the small things that I've just been enthralled with. Just the things that he enjoys, enjoy it with him.
That's tremendous. Have there been any surprises, things that you would say, I wasn't expecting that?
Music. Of course it's through Brittany's genes, my genes, somewhere. Music had to happen. But for him to immediately start gravitating towards it at such a young age, even coming here as a kid or as a baby, he'd sit in the front row and he'd be asleep during praise and worship, and then he'd wake up and he'd want to play the piano, and he's not even a year old or a year old, and just gravitating to it.
So
and I
to
didn't
be able to
expect
see it, you can see it in him. You just know music is in there and it's going to come out and it's going to be strong.
something's going to happen, and I don't care what part of music it is. I am there for it 100%.
Now, when he was really little, did he sleep through the night? Was Brittany on more night patrol because you were working or outside the home? How did that work?
There were a few times where it was like, just sleep, please. But we were getting 10, 12 hours in uninterrupted sleep. And but we had the little co-sleeper next to us. So Brittany would get to sleep through the night while I was at work. And then I would come in the morning when he was waking up. And then I would take him, so I let Brittany get, a lot more rest. She obviously needed it a lot more than I do, but uninterrupted sleep, it was really nice. I was very surprised because I hear the horror stories of kids not sleeping.
Can you see a sense of humor? Can you see those kind of things? Because you have a unique sense of humor. I didn't know if you could pick up on that in him or not.
He likes to play some like peekaboo type games, and then he has a little bit of an attitude that I've seen.
Now that would be from Brittany, I'm assuming. Is that?
No comment. No comment.
You're a smart man.
A little bit of a sense of humor. He likes to play. He likes the fun, even though it's 9, 10 o'clock at night. He likes the fun, and love it.
I've got to tell you, as a pastor of the Village, one of the joys of my life was seeing you and Brittany, knowing you guys right from when you got married, and then seeing you start your family and watching how wonderful you both are as parents. And I look back, when I was a young dad, I look back and I don't know that I was doing it half as well as you were doing it. I think I was preoccupied. I don't think I was as aware of my time with my sons as I wished I had been. And I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, man, he's tuned in. And I just want to commend you. You're doing a wonderful job. You and Brittany are both wonderful parents.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you for hanging with us on Father's Day. I hope you have a wonderful Father's Day. And
I'm excited.
Thanks for
I hope
working.
you have a good one Father's Day too, Ray.
I'm excited about it. Thank you, my friend. Well, our next dad is somebody that I've been friends with for a long time. If you've watched the Village services for any length of time, you might notice this handsome trumpet player that stands up here and plays incredible trumpet notes. He's been a high school teacher. He's now an elementary school teacher. He has 2 beautiful kids. His name is Aaron Johnson. Aaron, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you.
So happy Father's Day first.
Happy Father's Day to you, too.
I admire your family so much. Aaron Jr., how old is Aaron Jr.?
He's 9.
He's 9, and Amani, how old is she? Your children are as creative as any kids I have ever seen. Just tell me a little bit about the art stuff, and then tell me what Amani's into. But I know Aaron Jr. with art. I never seen anything like it.
Yeah, so he started, just with stick figures one day, and then we looked up, and the stick figures became like,
That's amazing.
So he really got into the visual arts, and he's just always had this kind of artistic side of him. Amani has it too. She's kind of the little sister that I want to do everything my big brother does, but I'm going to do it my way. So Amani's actually started painting. Now she does, her stuff is more abstract. So you come by my house, you see some abstract paintings up, that's Amani. Now Aaron's going to draw you, it's going to look like you.
That's amazing. And so, you saw that in them young. Do they have the music? Can you tell if they are going to have music inside of them?
Yeah. So Amani is my dancer, and she's picked up the trombone. So she's, she's got the
8
trombone.
and she's playing the trombone.
She's playing the trombone.
That's
She asked for it for Christmas one year. And, I went and got a real trombone. I don't want to get no little toy plastic trombone. No, we want for the real thing. And so now, she's at the age where I'm like, okay, it's not a toy anymore. It's an instrument. We're going to learn it. So this summer, we've actually been doing, trombone lessons with Dad. And Aaron, believe it or not, he's almost got perfect pitch.
So you can say E flat, and he'll
Right.
recognize E flat. If he hears it, he'll know that's E flat.
Right away. He took violin lessons when he was about 5. He was interested in violin. That was short-lived. But my friend Chris was teaching him violin, and he was teaching him to hear the notes on the strings.
Ooh, important.
And so, you call it E flat, and he'll hum it for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something about Father's Day. I've heard you say before that your dad is one of the best dads you've ever seen. Tell me a little bit about what your dad kind of passed on to you. Tell me something special that he's passed on to you.
My dad didn't live here. When he and my mom split up, I was maybe 2. I was born in Tennessee. My mom moved here. But I just felt like he was there all the time, So in terms of being there for my kids, I got that from him. It was no excuses. I've seen, people at times, just kind of prioritize their kids, below
Right.
other things, and that just wasn't my dad. So he taught me the kids come first, then everything else.
My dad and mom were divorced, and my dad had that same ability. Though he lived out of town often, it seemed like he was at everything that I wanted him to be at. He was there. I never remember him ever missing anything that was important. He seemed to magically be there. I don't know how he did it. So that's amazing.
I have
Your
no
dad's the same
idea.
way.
Yeah. I played baseball right here on Virginia Avenue, College Park Braves, as a kid, and no championship, nothing. I'll never forget it. I said, Dad, why don't you come to one of my games? I don't know, It's about a 6-hour drive between here and Jackson, Tennessee. And I just remember I was going up to bat, and I heard, Aaron. I looked up, and he was there. This is before, cell phones. You couldn't call and say, I'm on the way, I'm here. You just had to look up and see him. And that would happen all the time. School plays, he would just, he would be there. spent every summer, Christmas with my father growing up.
I want to ask you something. Obviously, what we've been going through over the last, I don't want to say a few weeks, 400 years, I guess. We've just been a lot of stuff. And now we seem to be maybe at a tipping point. And I follow you on social media. And I was just wondering, as a dad with your two children, do you how do you talk to them about race? Is that a part of conversation at their age? I just was wondering. I wanted to kind of hear from you.
So it's something that has in the past, the 8 and 9. So it's kind of come up, and I personally have done a terrible job of addressing it. When it's come up, I'm kind of that person. I tend to avoid heavy conversations as much as I can. But now it's like everything is in your face. And so I knew that I was going to have to talk to him at some point. And speaking of music, music speaks. We were in the car, listening to the radio, and Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, came on the radio. And a light bulb came off. Talk to your kids about what's going on. And I said, well, let's play it. So I told my phone to play it so we could, actually listen to the lyrics. And I just had to give it to them straight. I was surprised because they were more aware than I gave them credit for. They knew so much, they've talked about things at school and, in their classrooms and with their teachers and things. And then, just kind of innately, their human nature, they can kind of feel and understand what's going on. So the only way I could do it is just give it to them straight. I couldn't give them the PBS Sesame Street Saturday morning version. I kept it 8 and 9 for them, but straight up.
I'm not surprised, because just reading your post, you're a wise person, and I think you guys are raising your children so well. And I have just, by watching them, I just think, man, I'm just proud I get to be in the same space with y'all, because it's like you're one of the great families I have ever known. And I just want to thank you for spending a few minutes with us on Father's Day. It means the world to me.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I can't wait to hear you play the horn again, hopefully very soon, with a whole bunch of people in the room listening.
Very soon, yep.
Thank you, Aaron, very much.
All right, Ray.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Well, I'm excited on Father's Day because not everybody I wanted to talk to could be in the house with us and record live here. So we are having to go to Charlotte, North Carolina to talk to a friend who was a part of the Village for a couple of years. His name is Justin Ostrensky. And Justin, welcome. Happy Father's Day to you.
Hey, Ray. Thank you so much. Happy Father's Day to you as well.
We have missed you very much. What's the chances of getting you to come back down here and visit with us one Sunday?
Oh, I've missed you guys too. The chances are great. I'm going to be down there faster than you know it and visiting often. I can't wait to see all you guys.
I can't wait either. When we were talking about doing this service, just knowing you as a dad, you were one of the first people that I thought of that I wanted to interview, because I do think you're an incredible dad. And so thanks for taking this time. Let me ask you, you have a son, Isaac, who is 6, and you you went through a divorce, and many of us have been touched by divorce, but you moved to Atlanta, and you had some distance between you and Isaac for a couple of years. On Father's Day, can you just kind of tell me how that was for you as a dad and what you did to kind of make it work?
Yeah, it was quite a struggle for me. Basically, he was 4.5 hours away from me for a good 6 months, actually. And for that period of time, I was actually traveling back and forth between Atlanta and Charlotte, North Carolina, every other weekend, driving all the way up there to spend about 36 to 48 hours with him to drive back, or I would get him at halfway and he would stay with me for the weekend. It was tiring. It was exhausting. It was emotionally draining. But I had to do it. Going with a son that you're with every day, that you're putting to bed every night, and to do that, to go to not seeing him only maybe 3 to 4 times a month,
That had to be tough.
was excruciatingly hard. And so I had to do what I had to do. And like I said, it was the most emotionally draining and trying time of my life. But I had to do what I had to do because I love him.
You know, I remember watching you during that time, and when you were with Isaac, I remember you doing little things on YouTube. It's like you were always creating moments with him, and I just thought you were doing it as well as anybody I've ever watched.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was really great.
How has it been being back? That's got to be unbelievable.
Yeah, so I've been blessed with an opportunity to travel back to Charlotte. Basically, had an opportunity, left the corporate side of Chick-fil-A where I was at in Atlanta, and came back and worked in local consulting. Kind of put my career on hold a little bit, and basically for the sake of my son, and it's been incredible. Basically, a lot of things have transpired, and I'm at a place where I was seeing him more and more every single week, and just the fact that we were 20 minutes away instead of 4.5 hours was incredible. And now I'm at a place where he's actually living with me, and I'm seeing him basically every day. And it's been trying. It's been a new kind of difficult, just being a single parent, but it's been really great. You know, you can't beat the absence is obviously way worse than just having him around. So I'll take the bad days and the good days that I'm having now any day over what I was having at this time last year.
That is amazing. Hey, I want to ask you one more question. As a father who also is gay, are there any special or unique challenges that you faced in your role as a parent? You're the only one I've been able to ask this question to today, and so I just wanted to ask you, has that made anything different?
I think it for a long time, as part of my journey, my whole coming out journey, I think that was kind of the thing that was told to me over and over again, is that I couldn't really be gay and be a good dad. And I think it was just something that was kind of put into my mind. And I think now, being on the other side of it and seeing how much more fulfilled I am and how happy being myself, and giving Isaac the best version of myself and my true self, I think has made me a better father than I was before.
That gives me goosebumps hearing you say that. That's so good.
And I just think that I think that my story is not unique. I think there's a lot of people out there that maybe you're in that same boat where they don't feel like they can necessarily be a dad and be gay. And it's something that I feel like on the other side of things has really taught me how to be a better father throughout this journey. So I'm blessed.
You're amazing to me, my friend. I admire you more than you could ever know. And
thank you, Ray. You as well.
I'm so glad we are friends, and you have blessed me dropping in this morning. Happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
You as well, Ray. Thank you so much for having me.
Can't wait till we see each other. You take care, friend.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, I'm excited to introduce to you a dad, a granddad, and a great-granddad. He also has been a pastor, and he pastored one of the first hip-hop churches in America. He also is part of the faculty at a Safe House. He also is one of the best musicians I have ever known, and he did the music last week. I am honored. Joe McCutcheon, thank you for sitting down with me for a few minutes.
It's an honor to be here.
So you've been in ministry a long time.
Yeah.
When did you start? How old were you?
I was 18 years old when I went into full-time ministry.
Good gracious. Good gracious. Now, I'm curious. You were pastoring in Florida. Just give me just a little bit about this hip-hop church.
Well, what happened with that, we hired a young man as a youth pastor by the name of Tommy Colonan. And he got nationally signed as a hip-hop artist while he was now a youth pastor.
Right.
So I had 100 on Sunday morning. He was having 200 on Thursday night. So really, he was the pastor.
Right.
And that church now, when we left there, was able to move him into the position of lead pastor. And they run over 2,000 down there now.
That's amazing.
And it's just a great church there in Tampa.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Joe is the father of Sharon Mayo, Jimmy's wife, who's our worship leader. And Joe, I just think that you raised one of the best people that I know. And I'm just going to ask you, was raising Sharon in church, was that a challenge? What was it like being her dad when she was growing up?
You know, she was just not much of a challenge growing up. She just was one of those kids that was like the model child, if you could have one, really. And I think that, pastoring is difficult work.
It is.
And a lot of people don't understand sometimes how difficult it is or how you feel when you walk into the pulpit and you have that heaviness and that going on. But I think we probably made a little bit of mistake because we hid all that from Sharon. And then when she got married and went into ministry, she got this dose of, oh, this is how it is.
A lot of reality
A
hit her.
lot of reality hit then. And it was, I think, like most of us starting out, it was very disappointing because the hurts come from situations that you don't think they're going to come from. And she got pretty devastated in a few situations there. And I remember driving home from downtown Atlanta to her house when they were both working downtown. And she said, Dad, me and God are fine, but me and the church and me and the Christians, we're not doing all right now.
I think I've been there a few times, maybe. That's something. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, because you sit in a unique place in that 16 years ago, you and your wife adopted an African-American baby boy whose mom really was from Africa.
Yeah, correct? From Liberia.
And so you guys adopted Isaiah and were raising him. And then 6.5 years ago, your partner, your love, your wife passed away.
Yeah.
And suddenly you are raising Isaiah and you're in your 60s, I guess?
Not anymore.
But you were then. I guess you were
used
then.
to be.
So you're in your 60s 6 years ago, and you have Isaiah. Mm-hmm. What kind of challenge has it been, number one, raising a son in your 60s and now in your early 70s? And also, has it been a challenge in any way with him being an African-American boy? What is that?
I think it's a challenge to have a 16-year-old
I can't
at
imagine.
any age.
Yes,
but when you're 70, it's a whole other thing. And him being African-American, to me, it hasn't been a challenge. It's we just had fun, kind of living life together. God has done a wonderful work in his life. He had a hard time after the only mom he's ever known passed away, and he loved her, passionately loved her. He had a real hard time with that. But he's been able to work through that. And we've just seen God work a wonderful situation in his life. And this is the rock that I stand on. I was 54 years old when we adopted him. And I sat out on the back porch, and it was kind of looking like, he's going to be at our house. And I prayed this simple prayer. I said, God, if I can take 18 years and give you a son, I'll do it.
That's beautiful.
That's my rock.
That is beautiful. And you've done it. I just want you to know that in so many ways, you're a hero to me. When I see how you raise Sharon, when I see how your grandkids love you, adore you, and when I see how you've raised Isaiah.
Yeah.
Joe, I admire you very, very much, and I thank you for spending this time with us. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Well, our next dad is a gentleman that I love very much. He's on the road most every Sunday, it seems, crisscrossing the country with the job that he has. But he was able, I guess COVID helped because he's been home now for a little while, but he's been able to come by and be a part of our Father's Day celebration. Tilson Zinnemann, it is an honor, sir, to have you sitting with me.
It is an honor to be here, Pastor Rhea, and I so miss this beautiful place.
You know, me too. As I'm sitting here, I look forward to the day that we have people in the seats and we're all in this space together, and we're just trying to be patient and realize the time is going to come, and I know it's going to.
Keep those services coming on YouTube.
Thank you. And I do hope that people watch them, and I hope you share them. So Tilson, you have, between biological children and stepchildren, you have 7 children.
I do.
That's unbelievable.
And that last one just graduated high school.
I saw that
2 weeks ago, so she's excited and headed to the military.
I know you're proud of her.
I am.
That is terrific.
I am.
Some dads, emulate their fathers who were very wonderful and very present in their lives, and they say, if I can be half the dad my dad was, then I'll be a good dad. Some dads maybe didn't see that in their fathers, and so they pretty much have to say, I'm going to do the opposite of anything that I experienced. I'm going to do the opposite. What was your experience? Did you have a good example of a dad present in your life, or are you having to just create it as you've gone along?
Never interacted with my dad, never met him. I spoke to him once on the telephone when I was 16. He called, and he died shortly after that. I absolutely believe that God intended for children to have two parents because he knew it took balance. And not having that father in the home, it was so important to me to go the extra mile for my children. But I was always blessed because I always had people who God sent in my life. Middle school, elementary school, Mr. Owens at elementary school, Mr. Lockhart at middle school, at King Middle School, Reverend Guy in high school and young adult. And even as an adult, Pastor Ray. Because I met you through one of my nephews who they loved you. Everybody talked about Pastor Ray in Hapeville. And he said, Uncle, you gotta come visit this church. Said, man, Pastor Ray, I'm telling you, this guy, he's smart. He loves everybody. They love him, this, that, and the other. And he says, and it's not a 4-hour church service. I said, I'll come and visit. And when I came here, this was right before your son moved to California. So I met both of your boys, and I met Rachel and your grandkids. And you were a doting daddy. And Jane, you adored Jane. And you still do. And your mother-in-law, and I looked at the love you had, not only for your family, but for the love you had for other people's family and the people in this church. You love your church. You love the people who are here. And I've seen you get up out of your bed and go to people's homes who had emergencies and had situations. And I've loved that about you. And I think you're an awesome father.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I don't know that I deserve any of that, but thank you for the nice words.
You do.
So 7 children, raising them over a long period of time. What has been your greatest joy of being a dad?
I think my greatest joy has probably been being there for all of the special occasions, for the proms, for the military balls, for the birthdays, for the dance recitals. It's always been a good feeling to be there when they participate in something and they look up and they look for my approval, and I'm blown away at how talented they are. But all those great memories I've cherished and appreciated, and I'll probably never forget.
That's amazing. You are one of the most upbeat, optimistic. I just want to be around you because you always make me smile. And I just want to thank you for coming by on Father's Day. And I want to say happy Father's Day to you, Tilson. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, and happy Father's Day to you, Pastor Ray.
Well, I am especially glad about this next person I get to talk to because he is one of the reasons I get to celebrate Father's Day. He is my youngest son, Ethan Waters. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. I was hoping you were going to call for this day.
I've never interviewed you before, and I'm finding that I'm excited and kind of nervous too.
Listen, don't ask old questions about high school because there was a weird period of my life. Just don't go back.
I won't. You have been, to me, you and your brother have been 2 of the best dads I have ever watched. And I'm assuming it's because of the great father that you had, as I'm thinking.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
In every way, I think, man, they are better dads than I could ever have been. So I just wanted, Avery and Reese are precious. Tell me something about the boys. How are they doing?
They're doing great. So I've got 2 boys, Avery and Reese, and Avery is 9 years old and Reese is 6 years old. And it's every day is just I'm learning and trying to figure things out to be a dad. Even still, I mean, especially when Avery was first born, no idea what I was doing. 9 years into this thing, still don't really know what I'm doing. It's amazing that they are as good as they are. But yeah, they're doing great.
Can you put your finger on greatest joy as a dad? Is there anything that stands out for you in that category? Or is that too broad?
I mean, I guess it's it's funny when they're born. Like every season, it's just like my eyes are open to something that's even more beautiful than the season before, you know? And, you know, when my oldest son first started to crawl, or both of them, when they first started to crawl, it's like, this is the greatest thing in the world. And then they first start, you know, forming their own thoughts and their own sentences, and then they start talking, and it's like every little season for me, it's just amazing. And you know, you try to listen to the, you know, the guys that have gone before you who are dads. And by the way, happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you.
And you and your dad, my grandpa, are really the reasons why I think I've got any success as a dad. And, you know, every day we want our boys to learn and grow more in grace and more in love. And now this is the weirdest time of anybody's life as we're going through a global pandemic, and to try to walk them through that, it's, to me, it's the greatest thing in the world that I can do. It's that.
That is amazing, and thank you for that. I'm wondering, because I remember raising you and Ray, and we lived in the suburbs, and we were not. We tried to love everybody, but we were not social justice conscious, I don't think.
Yeah.
But you and Rachel are really trying to raise your boys with a social conscience. And I'm just wondering if you can speak into that. Has that anything that's kind of been a part of that?
Yeah, I think you say it a lot. The Maya Angelou quote, and I won't get it right, but it goes something to the effect of, when you know better, we do better. If you have the knowledge of something you want to do better, because you know now. Your eyes have been opened to injustice, when maybe, 15 years ago, my eyes would have never been even open to injustice. Not that they didn't happen 15 years ago, I just didn't have eyes to see that. And so Rachel and I, my wife, we want more than anything for our boys to grow up with eyes that are open and ears that hear when there are people that are oppressed, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's our black brothers and sisters, whether it's our Hispanic brothers and sisters. We don't want our boys to grow up ignorant of these things, because we live in a world where we've got information available to us that nobody else has ever had in the history of the world. We have this knowledge, and we need to be wise to that. And so Rachel and I really take it seriously at our house. We don't do it great all the time, but we sure do try. And our boys are still pretty young, and we like to try to go slow with them as far as, just thinking what they are able to handle. And what we're amazed at every day is how smart our kids are, and how much we learn from them, and how much they're able to grasp really big things and understand them in a way that I can't even understand. And so we go march for Black Lives Matter because we think that's important, and we want our boys to grow up in a world where that's just part of who they are. We go to the Pride Parade because we want our boys to grow up in a world where that's just who they are. It's just as natural as breathing. And so we really tried to prioritize in our house. And honestly, that comes not even from me or Rachel, but really it comes from our elders, It comes from my grandpa. It comes from just the wisdom that is before us, and we want to keep that going.
You are very kind when you pass it up, but I want you to know something. You are amazing to me. You are truly one of the great dads, and I am unbelievably proud. And I just want to say happy Father's Day. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope you have a beautiful Father's Day.
Oh, happy Father's Day. I love you, man.
Thank you. Love you too. Well, we have another friend who could not be in the room with us on Father's Day, but he just is somebody that I thought we've got to have him, and his name is Grady Watley, and Grady lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Grady, good morning. I appreciate you joining us for the Village Father's Day service.
Good morning, preacher. It's good to be here.
Grady was a part of our church for years, and he and I would actually sit up on the front row together. And I have missed seeing you now. You travel so much, you come through every once in a while, and you get to be with us, but we've really missed having you in our service.
I miss being there too.
Let me ask you something, Grady. You come from a preacher's home. Your dad, in his 80s, is a pastor, and he's still preaching. Am I understanding correctly?
He does. He retired a few years ago after 50 years as a pastor.
Oh my goodness.
But there's a lot of reservations in Arizona, and he'll go to different churches on the reservation, and he'll preach every Sunday. So he may have retired from pastoring, but he still preaches regularly.
I want to meet him because I know he's a really special guy. I wanted to ask you if there was anything that stood out as the best advice that you ever got from your dad.
Wow, that's a good question. I know there's certain things that my dad used to say to me that stick in my mind. One of them was, it's not necessary, because I used to ask a lot of questions, and his answer was, it's not necessary. But as for advice, he told me to be a man of your word. He said, if you say something, do something. And I think I've tried to apply that, and I taught that to my kids as well. But that's the thing that stands out most to me, was he wanted me to be a man of his word because he's a man of his word.
Oh, I love that. And I didn't mention, your kids are kind of the same age as mine. You have a son, 38 and 36, and then a daughter, 34. And
Yes.
you have 9 grandkids, a stepdaughter who has 3. So you have 13
Yes.
grandkids. That is amazing, man.
Yes.
I can't believe that.
Yes.
Hey, I want to ask you one more question. Again, I'm serious. I can't wait till we can visit together. And I hope either you down here or me up in North Carolina, I'd love to see you. But I wanted to ask you, when you were raising your kids, did you pass on some advice that you just think, looking back, that maybe was the best advice that I gave to them?
Wow, you're good with questions. I would say that my father used to preach a sermon, and that sermon, it had this piece in it where he talked about getting instruction and getting direction. And one of the things he used to say was, would you ask directions from a person who didn't know where they were going? And so I always tried to teach my 3 kids, and then all the other kids that I've dealt with in my life, that if you want to know how to get somewhere, follow the roadmap, whether it's the Bible or whether it's a person who's laying down instructions on how to do what they've done before. Because you don't want to just follow anybody. You want to follow somebody who knows how to get there.
That sounds brilliant. I appreciate you dropping by so much, and I appreciate your friendship. And I just want to
Miss
say
you guys.
We miss you. Happy Father's Day to you. I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Enjoy your day too. Happy
Thank you,
Father's
sir.
Day to everybody.
Our next dad is a great friend to me. In fact, we're kind of in the same family, not only church family, we're in the same family, and that's Danny Duckworth. I'm honored for you being here today, sir. Thank you.
Glad to be here, Ray. Thanks a lot.
Now, Danny he's a father to 2 kids, Christian and Devin, and then stepdad to our own Rachel and Tyler. Rachel married to my son, Ethan. That's our connection. And so you've been an incredible dad, but I just wanted to kind of zero in on Father's Day on you as a granddad, because I have watched you from the moment that Ethan and Rachel's children were born, and Jane and I are just kind of in awe at what a good pappy you are. So what I wanted to do is, just on Father's Day, I don't think I've asked anybody else this question. What's different? Is there something different about being a pappy than being a dad? What's your thoughts?
Absolutely a difference. Being a dad, I kind of took it much more serious. I was more grounded. It felt like the burden of raising the kids was really on my shoulders. And after going through parenting, making the good things and the bad mistakes and all, and just kind of bringing it all together, then a time to reflect, waiting on your kids to get married, waiting for grandkids to come. You have a time to think about it. So as a grandparent, the first thing I found out is bliss. think being a parent is great. Being a grandparent is off the chain awesome.
I get what you're saying, because I found when the grandkids first came, I still had a little bit of that tenseness. There was a little bit of me still wanting to be in dad mode, like I was responsible of making sure that everything was right. And then I think maybe watching you just over time, I'm learning to relax just a little bit more and have more fun and play and be that. So that's a part of the deal.
Oh, that's the biggest part. You know, what Sandra, my wife, always says, there's two great things about being a grandparent: headlights and taillights. And then the in-between belongs to us, and we just try to make it just fun for all of us. We've had to do the parenting thing. And of course, there's times as a grandparent, you need to kind of keep them in line. You don't want to get hurt. But if it's not going to hurt them, basically anything goes. So it's all about having a good time.
We're letting our secrets out. It's like, if y'all don't tell your parents you can have M&M's for supper, we don't care. Not
It's got
really.
milk.
What greatest joy as a pappy thus far?
You know, you had mentioned something about that before, and I had to think about it. And believe it or not, I was thinking about it on the way over here as well. It's not one moment. Just when I think this is the greatest or funniest thing or the greatest moment, the most relational, something else happens the next time we see them. So what I'm, in hindsight, reflecting back, is just the moments that build on themselves, create this great moment all together of the time we get with the kids. It's amazing that you think, it's not going to get any better than this. And the next time you see them, it just goes far beyond your expectations. So again, it's just back to being a grandparent. That's something I never thought it would be at the level it is. It's almost beyond description.
That is so amazing. And you are, sir, you're a fantastic granddad. And I tip my hat to you, and I say Happy Father's Day, and thank you for stopping by the Village this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and Happy Father's Day to you as well.
Thanks, Danny. I would not have wanted to do this service if we could not have had my good friend, Jimmy Mayo, with us. But Jimmy couldn't be at the church, so we said, Jimmy, we'll just do it through the satellite, our magic we're able to do. So welcome to the Village this morning. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Do you have big plans today?
Oh, I'm hanging out with the kids. I think we're all going to do lunch and just hang out at the house a little bit. It's going to be a great day.
That sounds perfect. That sounds perfect. Hey, we've been talking to dads, and we've had a lot of dads up here, and it's been really cool to hear their stories. And I know that you have two children, Jimmy 5 and Brittany. And Brittany, of course, comes to the Village, and we know her and love her. Jimmy 5 has sung here many times. You are just one of those great dads that I have met in my lifetime. And I was wondering, anything stand out for you that you think I was able to kind of teach them this, and this was a very helpful, good thing I was able to do in their lives? Anything that jumps out to you?
You know, I actually asked my son this week, I said, is there anything that I've taught you that's really stuck in your head? And he said, well, you've always told me to be on time. Early is on time is late. So I guess that's good. Both of my kids are always early.
That is good.
Everywhere they go.
That is good.
But I would say probably one of the greatest things, and he mentioned this earlier, is that he said, you've always taught us to take the high road. No matter what, don't get down in the dirt where everything else is. Take the high road. Always wish the best and think the best of people, and always treat them, with great respect.
You do that better than anybody I've ever seen, too.
Oh, wow.
I see how you respond to issues on social media, and you always say things in the right way, in a way that never is hurtful or never caustic. I think that's beautiful. Now, let me ask you this, because you're also a wonderful granddad. I've been watching you as a granddad the last few years. Great joys in being a granddad. What jumps out to you about being a granddad?
I'm a little newer to it than you, but it is the greatest thing I've ever experienced. I can't imagine, it's like everybody says, if I knew it was going to be this great, I'd have just skipped kids and gone straight to grandkids. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. I love my boys.
Man, well, you are awesome, Jimmy. I treasure our friendship.
Me too.
I enjoyed marching with you on Friday, and I can't wait till we can have dinner you and Sharon, Jane, and me real soon. I love you, buddy. I hope you have a great Father's Day.
Thank you. I love you. Happy Father's Day to you and everybody.
Thank you, Jimmy Mayo. You know how much I admire you, and I appreciate you taking time out this morning to spend a few minutes with us. Well, thank you, all dads. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed, if you've been watching, I hope you've enjoyed the service. I hope it gives you an idea of the diversity at the Village. I hope it gives you an idea of just some of the people that call this home. And thank you for being a part of our service. Next week, we'll go back to a little bit more what you're used to. And I just want everybody to have a beautiful week. Don't forget, if you haven't registered to vote, make sure you do it this week. Go ahead and check that off the list. And I love you very, very much. Thank you for hanging with us.